So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every week I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week has been a slower one in the off-season so far, but things are still playing out behind the scenes, so we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post, either on the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from no username, and he says that the Rockets just got worse by trading for Kevin Durant because their success was built on their top-tier team chemistry, both on and off the court in the locker room, and the drama and chaos that comes with Kevin Durant is going to mess it all up. Before we get into anything else with this topic, I'll start by saying that I disagree with the idea that the Rockets got worse, but there's a reason why a lot of people may feel this way that shouldn't just be completely written off and scoffed at. The unfortunate truth is that the last few stops in Kevin Durant's career post-Golden State have been disappointing, and when he first arrived on those teams, the excitement and expectations were equally as high as they are now, so it is a conversation worth having. When Kevin Durant arrived in Brooklyn, that was a team that really should have been running the league, playing alongside James Harden and Kyrie Irving, but due to a variety of unfortunate and sometimes bizarre factors, those three only managed to play a total of 16 games together as a trio. The injury bug constantly struck at the worst times. Issues behind the scenes were often a big story as much as anything else that they did on the court, and ultimately the group broke up before even making a conference finals together. When Kevin Durant arrived in Phoenix, they formed a trio of seemingly elite scoring talent with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, but in the process, they gouged all of their rotational depth, depleting the roster around those three, and with Bradley Beal so far removed from his prime, they just weren't good enough to carry the load to anything more than a first-round playoff exit. Durant is, of course, the common denominator in all of those situations, but it's pretty lazy to just pin all of the blame on the guy that maintained his elite scoring production through all of it. What is a fair argument is to say that it may not be the wisest idea to sacrifice everything just to bring KD in. The Rockets, luckily, didn't have to do that, and even after acquiring him, still have one of the deepest rotations in the whole league, which is the biggest reason of all why I'm such a big believer in this new Rockets era being different than Durant's last two stops. The Rockets' starting lineup is loaded with elite defenders like Amen Thompson and Jabari Smith Jr., an all-star center with a modern offensive skill set as a playmaker in Alperen Şengün, a championship-winning point guard in Fred VanVleet, and a bench rotation that includes studs like Tari Eason, Dorian Finney-Smith, Reed Sheppard, Steven Adams, and Clint Capella. The one area that could hurt is the fact that their backcourt is a bit thin and overly reliant on a year 2 leap coming from Reed Sheppard, but last season they were able to finish as the 2 seed because of their imposing defense, even without a real number 1 scoring option. And now they have Kevin Durant taking the shots that Jalen Green was previously taking, which is arguably the biggest upgrade any team made this offseason. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Dad, and he says that Russell Westbrook can be the missing piece to rejuvenate teams like the Bucks, Heat, and Kings. As long as Russell Westbrook is in the NBA, he's going to be one of the most commonly discussed players because the simple fact of the matter is that he's one of the most popular players in the league. He also happens to be one of the most polarizing players in the league, with an equally large number of people that hate on him and the way he plays the game, so the back and forths aren't ending anytime soon. But as he continues to age, the things that once made him so great have begun to fade, and the glaring weaknesses start to look even more more glaring without the explosive athletic prowess to fall back on. Russ has always struggled with staying under control, he's never been able to knock down threes efficiently, and he's been one of the most turnover-prone players to ever play the position, but he's also truly capable of making plays as a passer that most others aren't even willing to attempt. His relentless downhill drives to the rim are still a weapon to this day, and last year in Denver, he showed that he would be willing to embrace more of a role off ball as a cutter and secondary playmaker, which resulted in him and Nikola Jokic actually unlocking parts of each other's game that had not previously been on display on as much of a regular basis. Of course, in the end, Russ struggled to make a positive impact in the playoffs down the stretch, and the Nuggets are opting not to bring him back in free agency, so he is now still unsigned, waiting for the right opportunity to present itself. As stated in the original take, teams like the Kings, Heat, and Bucks all have holes in their point guard rotation that need to be filled, and in theory, Russ could step in and play that role, but in actuality, these groups need to think long and hard about if they want the Russell Westbrook experience in town. I'll start by writing off the Bucks as an option altogether, because quite simply, a court shared by Russell Westbrook and Giannis Antetokounmpo would be a spacing nightmare. And the last thing that the Bucks want to be doing right now is making life any harder on Giannis than it has to be, with him potentially pondering asking out in the near future. Sacramento could have been an option earlier in the summer, but after they paid Dennis Schroeder a sizable 3-year contract in free agency to address that position, I don't think they're looking at any more additions at the spot, with Malik Monk also being a player that they've been developing to be more of a point guard too. As for Miami, they're probably the best option of the three mentioned, because right now it seems as though they're going to try to force Tyler Hero to shift into a full-time point guard role, and with Terry Rozier's production falling off a cliff last season and a potential gambling investigation hanging over Rozier's head, his future with the team seems to be in jeopardy. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Derry, and he says that with the help of Luka Doncic and LeBron James, DeAndre Ayton will be rejuvenated and emerge as a top 5 to 10 center in the NBA this next season. DeAndre Ayton was once the #1 overall pick in the same draft that featured Luka Doncic, and now years later, they're teammates, but their careers have progressed in completely opposite trajectories. Luka has been a superstar talent since his second season in the league, and Ayton has gradually gotten worse over time with a lack of energy and work ethic that has resulted in him butting heads with coaches and teammates along the way. His attitude at times has been piss poor, and while the numbers he puts up look good on paper, the tape shows a player who constantly falls asleep on defense and visibly holds himself back from giving his all. He's always had the talent to be great, but it's hard to buy into a player finally buying into taking his work ethic to the next level after 7 long seasons. His best seasons did admittedly come early in his career in Phoenix when he was playing next to Chris Paul, who fed him non-stop for easy looks, and in 2021, the Chris Paul to DeAndre Ayton connection ranked 2nd in the NBA in points generated by one teammate to the other. Luka Doncic is the type of player who throughout his career has been able to make pretty much any center he's shared the court with look serviceable as well, because he too effortlessly creates a lot of easy looks for them around the rim as a passer. I have zero doubts that Ayton's scoring output will probably increase this upcoming season playing next to him and LeBron, but that's not the issue that most people have with him. The issue is that Ayton hasn't provided a positive impact on the defensive end in years, and on a team like the Lakers with subpar perimeter defense, an aging LeBron as the first line of front court defense, and only a few true plus defenders in the rotation. Rim protection is absolutely vital, and I can't pretend that Ayton fixes that issue. He's obviously an upgrade over having to play small ball like they were resorting to in the playoffs last year, but that's just about as low of a bar as there is to clear, and for a team like LA with loftier expectations than the bare minimum, Ayton may only be able to give a tier above the bare minimum on that end. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.